One more rather convoluted one this time, and not a little boring actually. But it's sort of anyway. Um, well, basically this time we were actually living in a house. Appeared to be, and we appeared to be up on the first floor. Oh, sorry, or what we call the first floor, you would call the second floor. And it was night time. There's only three of us there. I think it was Gwen and me and either Kevin or Gary. But we heard some noise downstairs. We thought there was perhaps an intruder down there. So I got elected to go down there and see, and to take with me a protective weapon. The only thing we could find up there was a plastic kitchen. What do you call it? Oh god, it was a fish slice thing. What do they call those things?
I don't know, I've no idea. It doesn't sound a very formidable weapon to me.
Oh, spatula, that's the word I was searching for. Sorry about that, a plastic spatula thing, which would have been about as effective as hitting somebody with a bit of bread and butter. But anyway, I went down the stairs and there was nobody after all that, and there was nobody there. So then the scene sort of changed. I was still at the bottom of the staircase, but apparently it was a different house. I don't know how I knew it was a different house. It looked much the same the other one, but this time I went up the stairs. And there were two bedrooms at the top, one on each side of the staircase. On the left, the one was blacked out completely, and on the right, the bedroom was lit up. So I poked my head around the door of each of them, but there was nobody about in either case. And then I found then the scene changed yet again, and I found myself this time in the downstairs room. But it had all been trashed, as if somebody had broken in and wrecked the place, all furniture and stuff all over the place, terrible mess. And on the walls there were these two great big, because I saw two walls, might have been all the way around, but then I saw two walls, and they both had sort of floor to ceiling, oh god, my mind's got a sieve tonight, pictures of I don't know what they were pictures of actually. There was sort of dark blue, sort of vague sort of scenes, murals, that's the word I was searching for. I think I've got notes about this, would you? And then I came out of the room, and the next thing I know I was out the front of the house, but it wasn't the same house again, it was another house. There seemed to be different houses each time, and this time it was obviously a much bigger, sort of posher house. It had a great big front garden, and at the roadside there was this old-fashioned sort of 50s style car. Looks a bit like what Ford Zephyr, which was one of the first British cars after the war, that sort of looked a bit like American cars, with a long, what you'd call the trunk, the boot as we call it, at the back. And it seemed to be full of gangster-like men sitting in there in dark suits, and there were two or three other similarly dressed gangster types. I didn't see any Tommy guns, but they were standing in rather menacingly in the front garden. Then suddenly I saw there was three women there of varying ages. I think there was an old woman, a middle-aged, and a sort of teenager probably. And every one of them, their eyes were all covered in what appeared to be cement. The set, it looked horrible. Oh God! And I suddenly, unlike me, I suddenly got seized with rage and hatred, and I looked around for some sort of weapon to get back at these gangsters with. And the only thing I could find was a house brick, which I picked at and lugged at the car. But that's when I woke up, so I didn't even see it land. Perhaps just as well, because I don't know what the outcome of that would have been. So that was another rather weird one from the House of Smith, or Houses of Smith in this particular instance, and there's about 4 different ones. I'd sort of think about it afterwards. I wondered if the houses sort of represented different lives. I don't know, when I was sort of moving from one to another. But that's as far as I could sort of make any sense out of it. I've been on different floors, sometimes upstairs, sometimes downstairs, sort of in my lady's chamber, as they say. I don't know really quite what to make of that one, I'm afraid.
Well, that's a good view from one life to another, because the houses represent the personal self. It's something you live in. It's something you built or you bought or whatever you agree to. The first part of your experience, all of a sudden you hear something downstairs. You think there's somebody in the house, and you grab a spatula. Okay, well, what do you use a spatula for? To scoop things up in a pan, like pancakes or turn over potatoes or something like that, right?
Yeah, that was the sort of thing I meant actually when I
Yeah.
finally remember what it was called. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you use that for, right? So all of a sudden you have a spatula in your hand. Well, when you go downstairs or what have you, there's nothing there. Well, I see that as that uh, there is something there, but you're not seeing it. But also, it can be an idea that you have in the personal self, which is downstairs, which is in the personal self. And the real you, doesn't see it yet. In other words, like the ideas you create. Okay, we have ideas in our mind all the time, and we scare ourselves. We think of things, good, bad, or indifferent, right? We don't really see the ideas, but we have the ideas, and it's kind of something like that. So it's in the personal realm, and you're still not identifying it. So you're going through all these experiences again, and you end up in the last experience. It gets kind of radical simply because, um, again, in the personal self, we think in terms of good and bad, right and wrong. Okay, it's just like the world's right now. It's really bad. Okay, and so we're thinking in terms, well, we want a nice life on Earth. So, but the Earth is really bad. So, what do we do? The reality of what we're experiencing, just like that, is that and just like you got upset, all right, all of a sudden that brings you into another view. Well, the idea is that it's not to upset you. That's your choice. Okay, again, that's the personal you deciding to be upset. I know I have a personal self too. We all go through these things, good, bad, or indifferent. But through all that, there is a wake up taking place. The worse things get, the more I focus on the is, because it's endless. And so again, through all this experience, now you're the objective view. Once you come back from that experience, it's like you were in the movie on the screen. Now you're in the audience watching the movie, and all of a sudden the movie's done. You come back, you're in the audience. Now, objectively from that, look at where your attention was and what you were deciding every moment. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so from there, it's your life, you figure it out, you figure out your focus from all that. So all that stuff that you went through that you cannot figure out, what is it that you can figure out from what you went through? Is there anything? Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, that perhaps I've inside there is a would-be violent person waiting to get out of an otherwise rather inoffensive person I'd always consider myself. But that was a rather sort of unpleasant sort of feeling I had when I woke up. I know, really, it just seemed quite a bit of a muddle, this dream.
Well, again, see, your attitude and all that, that's the personal self. Okay, what's going on here is that are you learning to try and figure out the difference between the real you and the personal self? Or are you just agreeing with, okay, well, I'm like this, I'm nonchalant, I'm nice, I'm an angry person, whatever. See, again, that's the personal self. Those are identities we create with the personal self. That really isn't us. So through all this experience, you keep going through experience. It's kind of like boot camp. All right, when a person joins as a soldier and goes through boot camp, all right, he's supposed to recognize through boot camp, through all that hell that he goes through, he's supposed to recognize how to take care of himself on the battlefield, because there's going to be confrontation. Now, there was a movie called Officer and a Gentleman, which is very good. And so this kid, he joins and he goes through it. Well, during that time, he hates the sergeant because the sergeant always yelled at him, whatever. But at the end of the movie, at some point, he realized, and he got back with the sergeant, he realized and appreciated what he had done, because all of a sudden he started to see something else besides his personal self. And so this is the whole deal here, Peter. In other words, as you go through the experience, it's all hell, it's all jumbled and whatever, and that's okay. Then you come back here. Now you have an objective view of this. Yeah, there's symbology there, and you know, this means this or whatever. Well, that's fine. That's all cute stuff. You can write stories about that. But overall, the experiences we're having creation is about the real you. So we've had experiences like the Bible, and there were people in the Bible that could read and tell the future and prophecy and stuff. Well, that's fine. That's all physical. But the reality of what we're doing here in creation is to have the big wake up, which is the real you, your real awareness, what the real universe is and the all is. So every time that you go through this experience, whether here personally or on the real side, where you get a little more objectivity, where the personal self, you might say, is drug along, but it's still part of there because it has attitudes. All those attitudes are the personal self. The real you, like the sun shining, has no attitudes. Well, it doesn't need one. You can have an attitude because you can pick it up, but do you really need one? Does the sun have an attitude? No, it just shines. So again, this is the whole idea of all these things, is little by little, step by step, just like when you went through school, to identify the difference, because there's really two of you. There's the real you that operates the 5 bodies, and there's the created 5 bodies that you operate, which is the personal self, and you have to deal with them just like a dog on a leash, okay? And that's what they are. So it's learning to see the two. But as you keep identifying that, well, I'm this type of person, or I'm that type of person, or whatever, again, you're just talking about the personal self and not taking the time to identify the real you and make sense of that. And this is where there should be some kind of activation coming in to step up and be creative in some way, so you better identify that. In other words, it's like a person that creates the business. They have the idea. Okay, and then they start to go along, and even if they open the business, they don't know the whole thing. It's just like when I started the vessel project. I didn't see the whole thing, but I started it, you see. And as time went on, little by little, it started to expose itself more and more and more, and I created more and more things off of that. I pivoted off of that. I just didn't think, oh, well, this is a cute idea, but what the heck, it's probably going to go nowhere, you see. And then I just block it out. But I didn't do that. So when you look at these experiences, until you have a good recognition of the real you, well, you won't. It's that simple. You decide how you're going to focus, but if you allow the personal self to keep judging it and deciding how it is, then that's all you're going to see is the personal self. See? So the real you is very subtle, but it's a view. It's learning to see it and identify it. And this is what I do when I write something. Okay, I give a reference accordingly, but that reference is according to the view of the real you. That's what's important. Anybody can just write words. Anybody can write wisdom or pick up all wisdom and say things. Wow, that's cool. Okay, again, it deals with the personal self, where the personal self is to feel good. This is why I don't do these things. There's more than wisdom to life, and there's a real view to see. So again, you're going through all this, and you decide how you're going to identify the real you in that situation, and using the personal self here objectively to see that also. There you go.
Right, okay. Well, thanks for that. I'd better hand you over now to Kevin as the time's running on. Thanks again, and speak to you again soon.
Okay. Hello, Pearce. Are you lurking out there in cyberspace?
Yes, I am, mate.
Okay. Do you want to carry on then?
Yes, mate. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I had a real sad experience just last night. It was amazing and awesome. And it basically sang the New Year as I was going to sleep. And then I was in like a field, and it was just all golden, everything, the sky, the field, everything was just gold. And I stood up, I was looking at the sky, golden sky, and I felt a tap on my shoulder. And I turned around, and I was on like a mountain top of a mountain. And Rebisar was there, but he wasn't right next to me. It was like, he was down the mountain a bit. And he beckoned me down, so I followed him. And it went on like that for a bit. I was following him down. And come to this tunnel. And it was, and it basically was like, it go in the tunnel. So I went, and the tunnel was lit up, but it just kept going down and down and down. And as it got to, it was getting lower and lower, and it was lit up. There was a stairway down. It was like proper cut out of stone. It was like some medieval. It was just tunnel, and it was just like I had torches on the way down, so I could see where I was going. And then at the end, it was like it come to the end of the stairway, and it was like another tunnel going down deeper and further. So I went down there, and it got darker and scarier. And then I come out in this place, and it was like a hell. It was like a hell place. That's all I can describe it as. It was like hell. It was like all just fire coming out the floor and pits, like stinking, like sulfur and smoke. And there was these beings there, but there was like these wraiths. Like, you see now in the Harry Potter, they got like these wraiths, and they're like flying around, and they were like flying around in circles. There was loads of them. And then something approached me, and it was a something. It was like a beast creature. It was like this reptilian thing. And it approached me, and it says, "You're here to fight the beast." And I was like, "What are you on about?" And it was like, "Yeah, you're here to fight the beast." So I thought, well, I'm Rebisar's about, I ain't seen him, but I know he's about. So I thought, all right. And then I had to go and get armored up. So as I walked into the room, and as I walked into the room, the armor wasn't there, but the armor was like automatically come on me. It was like it wasn't there, and then it was just all over. It was like old-fashioned medieval armor, and it was all blue, and it was trimmed with gold. And it was shiny. It was nice. It was really nice. And then I went and I had this big sword in a scabbard. This big sword, and I had a helmet on, like a proper knight. It was like I was a proper knight. And yeah, it was all like it was in a not a coliseum. It was more like the whole place was like an arena. But it was like hellish. It was like horrible. And in the corner of this arena, there was this massive big dragon, this white dragon. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is the beast. What I'm going to do here? It's massive big white dragon. And it's like I got scared and that. And then all of a sudden, it was so strange and so funny. It was amazing. It was like being cut with a welding torch. The scene what I was in, there was a doorway cut with like a welding torch, and it opened up, and through the doorway come this other night. I didn't see his face, but I presume it was Kevin, and it was a knight as well. It was also a knight, but his armor was gold, and he had this big axe strapped to his back, this big massive axe, and he said. And it spoke in like you'd expect a knight to speak, like old-fashioned medieval, like using the medieval terms and that. And he called me Sir Pearce, and it was so funny. And he says, "I've no fear. I've got my mighty axe." And it was like we strolled out, and it was like a, like I say, it was like it wasn't so much a coliseum. It was just like a big place, but it had like it was like a stadium, but it wasn't a stadium, but it was like it was being watched. And then there was all these things, these black things floating around in the sky, like these wraiths from the Harry Potter film. That's what they look like to me. and it was squealing. It was making all kind of noises. It was horrible. And and Kevin says, "Yeah, I've no fear, Sir Pearseville. I've got," and he kept saying it. "I've got my mighty axe," and he says, "And you've got your trusty new sword." And I thought, all right, then. And we went out basically out into the arena, like to meet this beast. And he started. He got his axe out, and he was like, Kevin did. I presume it was Kevin. He said it's Sir from the Buzzard. Sir from the Buzzard. That's what I got. I didn't get Kevin. I got Sir from the Buzzard. It's the Sir from Buzzard. And we went out to meet this beast, and he was swinging his axe around. And as he was swinging the axe, it was unbelievable. It was awesome. It was like sheet music started flowing out of his axe. That's what it looked like. It looked like sheet music, but it was in gold, and it was like the lines and all the notes, like separated in it on the different lines. I don't know what he called quavers and semi-quavers, all that different stuff. It was like sheet music, and he kept swinging his axe around, and I was like instinctively I knew what to do, and it was like I had like superpowers because I could jump and I could do these awesome jumps, and I was jumping off one note to the other, like running up the sheet music, and it was awesome. It was like spiraling up towards the top of this dragon, this big white dragon, what was making its way towards it, and the dragon was shooting like lightning. It had like lightning bolts that were shooting out his mouth, not fire. It was like lightning, and Kevin was just dodging it and flinging out the music notes, and I was bouncing from one like side of the arena to the other off these notes. I was going up, and it kept going up and up, and then I got to the head of the dragon, and as I drew my sword to get its head, and I was coming down. I was coming down on it because I jumped off a note, and there's all these notes that I was jumping on. There was all making a new sound. There was all new you and all the different U's at different tones and vibrations, and it was all through the arena. And as it was doing that, the thing is, the wraiths, there was like popping, like a bubble had popping it, like pop like that. It was just popping like that. You're going, babe, right now. See you later. And yeah, they was just popping, and then like I used to strike the dragon on the head with my sword, with my new sword, because I pulled it out of the scabbard as I was like jumping off the last musical note, and it turned to a pillar case, and as I hit the dragon about the head, I hit it one time about the head, and then that was it. I was off in a spiral of pastel colours, and then I was like on like a cloud, surrounded by all feathers and that, and then surrounded by the new sound. That was it. That was my experience. That's what I had last night, and it was awesome and amazing. And it's weird because that's what I'm writing. That's what I've done the books as. I've done them as children's books, and I've called them the Knights Who Sing New, The Adventures of Kevin and Pearce, the Knights Who Sing New, the new sound, and it was just so awesome how the dream happened like that, and it was just awesome. Yeah. Anyone got any thoughts, Dwayne, Kevin, anyone?
Well, that's your movie, Sonny. Self-explanatory. You got to write that down, so everybody can read it.
Yeah, it was awesome. I woke up feeling awesome. It was like I woke up singing the new song as well this morning. But it was like awesome because like as I did it, it was like a pillowcase, and then it was just feathers, and then I was like on a cloud surrounded by feathers. I went through like this spiral swirl, and I was in like surrounded by, I was in like a bed, but I was like, it wasn't a bed, it was like a bed of clouds, and all these feathers coming down on me. It was, and yeah, I woke up from it. It was awesome singing the new sound. It was amazing. So yeah, thank you again, Dwayne. Awesome. Back to you, Kevin, mate.
Okay then. Yeah, incidentally, when you said I was Kevin of the Buzzard, I actually live in Leighton Buzzard, so that might explain that.